Hello and welcome to a office hours capsule. This is a small portion, and I do mean small comparatively, of a live stream that I do every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we just kind of hang out and do an AMA. We talk about the game, we talk about Star Citizen lore, you have questions for me. It's a very casual conversation about Star Citizen. Now, every month I've been doing, since the beginning of the year just about, I've been doing a read-through of the monthly report. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at the Star Citizen monthly report. If you want the Squadron 42 monthly report for May, then you're going to have to wait until next week. And I got to turn those off because that's going to go off constantly if I don't. All I got to do. There we go. Bad chat. So, let's get started for the month of May 2022 Star Citizen Monthly Report. Beginning with AI content. Throughout May, the AI content team focused on improving the visuals of general AI locomotion. The animation director identified locomotion overlays and fidgets, animations blended with movement actions, as a vital area of improvement. So the team authored 40 new overlays, including scalp scraping, scratching, knuckle cracking, and stretching. The overlays build in the walk cycle work. The overlays build on the walk cycle work completed earlier in the year to provide more visually pleasing AI locomotion. Alongside this, AI content began using the dynamic conversion tech recently delivered by AI Tech. AI content, okay, yeah. Which allows groups of AI to spontaneously begin conversations. The aim is to have this implemented across the variety of usables. 3 use cases have been created so far: the 4-person mess hall table, the idle spot, and the arcade machine. AI Tech. AI Tech worked on spaceship functionalities, including several improvements to quantum travel and quantum boost. Now ships can accelerate while spooling before the actual jump. This functionality was also exposed as an assignment for missions. The team cleared up and activated several feature test maps on the main game dev stream. These maps were validated to ensure the team can better track features that might be impacted by the changes of different teams. For subsumption, focus was on improving the usability of editing conversations or coordinated sub-activities. The initial representation of the GUID and the super GUIDs was improved too. Okay, so AI will now spool up, will like accelerate and spool up before they go. There's also quantum boost, which is something we've heard about many times before. We don't have an understanding of it quite yet, though. Building on last month's work, feedback was addressed regarding NPCs pushing trolleys. Seriously, why? Why are we giving AIs trolleys? They're just going to kill everything. Blow up servers with them. That's going to be an old dead joke here soon. Very old dead joke. Let me actually move my camera around a little bit so you can see me a little bit better. The team now have better control over what forces are applied to the trolley by using an angular and 2 linear PID controllers. They also improved the exact positioning logic at the end of a path and added stuck detector usage. For human combat, an initial skeleton of the defend area assignment was implemented to allow designers to specify areas that NPCs can use for their behaviors. For example, guards will use this to understand which zones they should patrol. Occlusion calculation was restored to stop NPCs from ignoring hidden enemies while shooting, which will help them preserve ammunition and prevent individual targets from being overly targeted, unless the fire control is forcing the shooting. The team also improved the friendly fire validation and can now assign different factions different behaviors. This includes bad guys only trying to preserve the life of their group, while good guys also try to avoid hitting neutral factions like civilians. Several fixes, so I guess Hurston's not good guys then. Several fixes to the usable code were added, including one causing the NPCs to use usables they were not authorized to use. They also extended the usable code to allow them to set up slotting functionalities through load-out entities, allowing them to access item ports not exposed directly to the data forge. For example, setting up a Gladius as usable with varying inspection usables depending on what missiles are equipped or not. Okay. The AI Vehicles feature team completed the Flight U AI tool. This enables the developers to control and set up specific AI scenarios across various ships. They're currently porting the new dive attack maneuver to the combat pilot AI, which allows reckless and aggressive pilots fighting against capital ships to dynamically choose this maneuver when required. They also made changes to the way they apply the backwash thruster effect, as it was negatively affecting AI. Now it controls forces by the size of the ship's surfaces, so smaller ships have less of an impact on larger ships. Animation. For the PU, the facial animation team finished off performances for various in-game emotes, worked on a new mission giver, and created the facial animations for the female vendors and male and female workers. Art. Characters. Character art spent the month wrapping up Q2 assets, which included work on several armor variants. They also continued to work on Pyro Frontier outfits. Art ships. Last month, the UK team began improving the damage maps on all ships in preparation for the salvage mechanics. Development also continued on several vehicles. An unannounced ground vehicle progressed into final art and design, while a new ship entered the early gray box stage, with work on the cockpit and dashboard progressing well. Ben and Merchantman continue to move through Greybox, with May's focus on the ship's exterior art. The team are currently working on the underside and will look to and the feel of its wings. We gave AI trolleys because we like to see the world burn. Yes, you do, Jaden. Yes, you do. Because you're madmen. Madmen! The Argo SRV began production and is nearing white box complete, with the final white box review scheduled soon. In the US, the team continued building the Drake Corsair. On the interior, major passes were completed on the turret airlock and the manned turret cabin. While most of the crew quarters were finished, including the captain's quarters near the cockpit, the entire cargo hold was blocked out and the details are currently being added. The main airlock staging room on the starboard side of the ship was also completed. On the exterior, progress was made on the gray box, including the nacelles and the main retro thrusters. Development began on the landing gear for remote turrets and remote turrets too. Community. The community team had another busy month in May, with much focus directed towards supporting sentiment tracking and messaging for Invictus Launch Week and its related publishes. They published the manufacturer free flight schedule, Spectrum FAQ, before updating the Welcome Hub, Welcome Back pilot page, and the new player comlink for those making their first visits to the verse. Everything was compiled into the Invictus Launch Week details page. In tandem with the event, held a 6 screenshot contest and a 2952 Dunlow Derby race, in full collaboration with the racing community scr.gg. And further supported Invictus 2952 with the sentiment tracking and the server status communications. They also announced the winners of the MISC bumper sticker and the Tour of Stanton contests that began at the end of April. The team also updated the roadmap's release view to reflect the rollout of key technologies in 2022, as mentioned in the latest letter from the chairman. A few team members had the opportunity to attend BATCon, an epic event, an epic community organized meetup/convention in Belgium, and meet members of the wonderful community in person again. We had an absolute blast and want to thank everyone who came out to say and said hello. It was great seeing everyone in person again, and we can't wait for Bar Citizen the World Tours this summer. Community team. They also hosted the Drake Mule and Anvil Legionnaire Q&As, giving the community the opportunity to ask the vehicle developers their most burning questions. Work also continues on the new community hub, with steps being taken to port the work from staging environment to live servers, but not the visible to non-staff. But not visible to live staff. Okay, that's interesting. So they're creating the community hub, which is new. For those of you who don't know, there's an entire part of the website which is community hub where you can put your content, and if CIG likes it, they upvote it. Like they'll make it VIP and stuff like that. They give you a special community badge. I've got one of those because of a couple things I've worked on. The team is continuing to relay feedback to assist several. Okay, this is a huge step because it means the new community hub is actually populating with real player content. The team is continuing to relay feedback and assist the overall design to prepare for its public debut in the very near future. Looking a bit ahead, the team is in deep planning for this year's Foundation Festival, Ship Showdown, and upcoming dynamic events, and more. All right. As always, I'm going to be very clear. I am not an engine priest or an engine seer. I'm not a tech priest. I am not a Starfleet engineer. I do not know what half of the words in the engine segment of the monthly report mean. If you do, let me know in the comments below to clarify any of these situations. Hopefully this is helpful for those of you who don't have time to read, but do want to hear more about the updates. So without any further ado, let's do this. Engine. In May, the physics team added a new dynamic entity, rope entity _EX, to simulate a rope running over a pulley wheel. As an optimization, round-robin free lists were added for factories to reproduce contention when creating or destroying objects. Additionally, vehicle pad normals are now cached to speed up collision processing. On the renderer, work on the Gen 12 it's like that first part. There's rope and pulleys. This is all I got. And factories, I don't get it. On the renderer, work on the Gen 12 transition continued. APIs for transit resource sets and various transient buffer types further matured, and all relevant client code was updated to make use of them. The Gen 12 pipeline to render cube maps was enabled, and Gen 12 support for fog volumes and various other render nodes was also enabled. A new reflection buffer API was implemented, and worker contexts were established throughout the client code. Resource sets are no longer unnecessarily created, and material updates are not pushed into processing queues if there isn't anything to update. Support and debug comparison code was added for stencil state checks, skinned objects, and forward stage. Speaking of the forward stage, a lot of work went into this month, and we hope to enable it soon, engine team. Support for Eye Overlay Pass was added too. The Gen 12 port of Planet Ground Fog was completed, and Gen 12 ports of atmospheric and volumetric cloud renderings commenced. Additional improvements to planet terrain height map rendering and spherical cloud and planet terrain shadow rendering were made. On the core engine, various improvements were made to the prolifing system to better analyze fibers and their preemption, and to track collars of semaphore weights and file reads. Support to collect peaks was also added to prioritize optimization tasks. Various optimizations from recent performance captures on the PTU were implemented. Also, power scaling is now disabled for all threads. The engine spawns with normal or time-critical priority, which helps thread scheduling, main, render, physics, batch, worker, etc., and improves performance. Additionally, optimizations were made, including removing the final lock in the background job manager, checking authority requirements when activating component updates based on ECUS events, and skipping updates of hidden entities. Lastly, improvements were made to reduce the size of Windows executables and their symbol files. The remainder of the time was spent supporting bug fixing for Alpha 3.17. That was all Greek to me. Gen 12. And yeah, for reference, Gen 12 is not DirectX 12. It's just their in-house name for what they're using for the next generation rendering. They're going to be using Vulkan instead of DirectX 12. Features, Arena Commander. Alongside progressing with scanning improvements, the team fixed bugs, most notably those that have been affecting the gameplay of Arena Commander and Star Marine. Continual feedback from the community regarding these areas of the game have been hugely helpful, and it is greatly appreciated by our team, feature team. Improvements to the racing mode were made too, which were planned for an upcoming release. 3.17.2. There we go. Features, characters, and weapons. In May, the team continued updating the scanning feature, improving the visual effects when triggering a ping wave while on foot, and how it highlights different contacts. Interactables, items, and points of interest critical to mission progression will be highlighted too. The team is also increasing the amount of information gathered from scanned objects. For example, a door will reveal in its current state and if it can be affected by hacking. NPCs and other players will show the contents of their physical inventories, and player corpses reveal the cause of death. Hooking up the data will be quite time-consuming task, as it requires a lot of data mining of different systems and their variables. Part of the work is ensuring the addition of future data will be frictionless. Feature team. The team also created a model for serializing damage maps online, which is required for salvaging. The client is able to make accurate predictions, but can also rewind and replay applications of its hits on the damage map. The server will still send the full map to a client when required, but this prediction will help keep the need to send full data to a minimum. So it looks like they're working on ping, on like hand pinging, like a FPS scanning, which is pretty good. All right, features vehicles. The feature vehicles team spent time throughout May working on Alpha 3.17 and Invictus launch week. Outside of release support, great progress was made on Quantum Travel Boost, primarily making it feel right as the ships accelerate and attempt to maintain a heading. This feature also supports points of interest, allowing a pilot to fly towards highlighting destinations. The frig is Quantum Travel Boost? The team are continuing to update persistent tech features to use new systems in fixing problems along the way, usually connected to systems such as streaming, networking, and persistence. General balance work continued too, including a pass on general item health to stop ships from shutting down from explosions. They also continued to balance the refueling mechanic, deciding on the volume of fuel the Starfarer can carry and the sizes of ships it can refuel. The setup and balance of new ground vehicles, vehicle physics is progressing well. The team now have baseline handling and are laying out remaining dependencies to make them game ready. All right, graphics and VFX programming. Work on damage maps continued last month, with the team focusing on debris creating its own map based on the parent map. They also implemented an interface for querying damage within an area and persistent snapshots, as well as optimizations for processing hits. For Gen 12, the team improved the viewpoint port API and continued porting region copy to pass RTT to Gen 12. RTT to Gen 12, that's good. Render to texture. They enabled more stages/systems to work with Vulkan, including material fallbacks and depth readback. Fixes were made for the tessellation output of organic shaders and planet array textures, not using texture 2D arrays. They also refactored screen capture to work with Vulkan and updated the latest SDK. Work continued improving the image tests, with CVARs being created to wait a custom number of frames before capturing to alleviate some of the timing issues seen in recent tests. They also investigated a number of performance-related issues, including a particle effect problem caused by a huge particle count and the cost of refraction resolves. A number of bugs were fixed in the RTT system, render to texture, including series of asserts caused by setting a large aspect ratio to the RTTO, as well as fixes for hollow volume sorting issues in the mobiGlass. The team also continued improving shaders with experimental improvements to the hair color model of Wear version 2, including the addition of primer/compliant in layer blend 2. Some pretty good things here with graphics and VFX programs. It sounds like they're working on new hair models, and they're also working extensively on render to texture, which is the thing that allows you to see live video of another player in game, like when you're like using mobile glass and stuff like that. It's used for other things as well. Oh, excuse me. Lighting. Mesa, the lighting team, continued the support of the Siege of Orison mission. The playable space of the mission is massive. You say that again, which means a lot of lighting work goes into covering the whole area to provide an interesting and unique atmosphere at night and day, while also ensuring good player visibility on objectives and AI. Lighting team. Polish and optimization were also done. The space being fully man-made exterior location means a lot of light entities and shadows must be rendered. So the team spent time ensuring performance was smooth without too much visual sacrifice. They also worked on the new derelict reclaimer locations, which involved embedding them into the planet's surface and dressing and lighting each version. Locations. Montreal. The locations team spent the month working on the Reclaimer space missions and derelict Reclaimer settlement. They're currently polishing the bug fixing in preparation for the release, which will complete the initial proof of concept for the derelict settlements. The next stage is to take the proof of concept and see how much more depth can be added, with variations to both environmental art and level design. They're also looking to add more module and habitation variants, more missions with different modifiers, and potentially new gameplay elements. The 600i and Mercury derelict settlement, which will be located on Daymar, progressed well throughout the month. The level design team are currently looking at what environmental art team has done in preparation for adding missions and AI. The rework of Lorville's cityscape is ongoing, with the team switching from concept to /pre-production to production. Finally, for locations, the building interiors mentioned in last month's report entered the concept phase. We're still in the early days and are discussing how best to organize the conception so that the concept art, environment art, and level design all work together in the most efficient way. We're also defining what we want to tackle in the proof of concept, and that should be our target. Everyone here is eager to tackle the challenge and find a way to add pockets of gameplay directly inside landing zones. Location team. We're almost done. Yeah, it's a shorter one this month. Narrative. Last month, Narrative continued to work on design on a handful of new missions and initiatives. These included discussing new mission archetypes and tackling the new player experience to devise a system to introduce players to the game's various mechanics. Thank God. Oh, they're finally adding an NPE. Oh. This means you won't have so many people complaining about the not being able to. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, Chris Roberts. It's all coming together. Did we get a Squadron 42 monthly report? Yes, it is. If you signed up for the updates, you did get it. It will be released next week for everybody else. And I will be doing a read through of Squadron 42's monthly report like I'm doing this next week for whatever this is, the office hours stream. So this next Thursday, I'll go through it again. Preparations commenced for upcoming motion capture sessions scheduled for next month. This involved syncing with various teams to see if they had content ready to capture. Once complete, production began locking down dates and sourcing actors. Narrative also continued to release new lore content, starting with Another Lore Makers, where the team answered community questions from Spectrum. This was followed by Homesick, a short story that originally appeared in Jump Point magazine, and Empire Report, detailing a scandal around the discovery of new life. The month ended with another batch of Galactopedia articles. QA. The Manchester-based development side of QA focused on an Invictus Launch Week mission and continued to support the Alpha 3.17 and 3.17.1 releases by verifying fixes and stability issues, regressing solved issues, and supporting the development teams. Towards the end of the month, planning and testing for Alpha 3.17.2 and 3.18 began. This involved working through QA TRs for each patch's deliverables to ensure the features are tested as much as possible before being published. The Frankfurt-based QA team also tested the Siege of Orison mission and continued to support various development teams via their embedded testers. For AI, integration checks were completed for updates to existing and new features, which were then added to the main branch. They also tested AI used throughout the Siege of Orison mission. Locations QA tested the new mission location and expo halls. They also began working on more with the editor to better support the team in creating test levels with relevant systems. For the engine team, focus was on the page heap testing and locking down memory issues in game. They also continued to learn more about the flow graph and coding for future automation. Tools team continued to receive support with continued testing of DataForge, Star Words, XL Core, Copy Build, and the Sandbox Editor. Tools, Montreal. In May, the integration of the Mighty Bridge into the editor was completed. They also allowed the development of the first official Mighty Bridge tool, Vegetation Scattering version 1, which will allow teams to deploy vegetation without collisions, brushes, and entities on planetary surfaces and objects. This will be especially useful for derelict settlements and outposts, but will still be used across many PU locations. The next step is to develop a tool for creating crashed ship craters and the trails on the ground, which in less time and at a higher fidelity. The procedural location creation tool is also progressing well. The foundation is now a lot stronger, and the team have begun creating basic layouts. They also moved to supporting corridors and corridor loops, as well as supporting the various required templates, space stations, caves, underground facilities, etc. The team's current goal is to get a V1 to the design and artists so that they can gather feedback to get it production ready. Tech animation. The technical animation team spent part of the month addressing small tasks that will ultimately improve the quality of life for all devs. Several of these revolve around asset pipeline in Maya, which was refactored to both consolidate multiple workflows and galvanize the core pipeline code with the knowledge gained throughout the production so far. One of the team's new initiatives is to load skin data from the engine's data files, is yielding excellent results, with 1,200% speed increase in loading data. Woo! They also continued with another long-standing initiative to replace slow rigging solutions with a new plugin. This will see us redefine our workflows for creating rigs and see a much-needed improvement to character deformation throughout the game. This will take a long time to develop, but it's a worthwhile endeavor, a worthwhile venture. Technical animation. UI. May saw the UI programmers support the various PU releases by fixing bugs and adding requested features. They also refactored backend code to support the persistent tech that will come online with Alpha 3.18. VFX. May saw the VFX team complete the work for Invictus Launch Week alongside tasks for the RSI Scorpius and Drake Mule. VFX concept art began on the quantum travel rework. This included storyboarding the gameplay requirements at the different stages of the process, such as spooling up, entering, and exiting. They're currently investigating how to look in engine. And that is the monthly report. Not a ton, but it looks like we're getting the new quantum travel is being worked on. We also saw that they're working on procedural location tools for derelicts and such, so it can become more of a procedural location rather than a definite location. We also know that they're working on a new player experience, and yeah, that's good. That they're working on the derelicts, the new derelict, what do they call them? Settlements for the Reclaimer. Saw some lighting stuff. more Gen 12 stuff being added, render to texture being updated, quantum travel boost. There's also new ground vehicle stuff. A brand new hand scanner material, like our helmet scanning, whatever it's called. New stuff for Arena Commander, engine stuff. And the other big one was lots of AI stuff for various animation and AI stuff. So I would say it's a lighter monthly report than we've previously seen, but with everything we've gotten so far with the letter to chairman, it's not bad. Definitely interested in the new player experience and see where that goes. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, please join us live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we do these live Q&As. I'll talk with chat here for a little bit before I log out now, but hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you are watching this on YouTube, remember to like this if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And again, always keep me up to date. Do you still want me to do these sorts of read-throughs? Do you find these helpful for you? Let me know in the comments below. It helps out a lot to know where you're feeling about these sorts of things, because I don't have to do these if you don't like them. So let me know in the comments below. And as always, remember, Ex Historia and Astra. Oh wait, and see you in the black.